The first time I was trafficked was 11. I was trafficked by family members. I had a 37-year-old boyfriend.
That's the shocking real-life story of a human trafficking survivor. We are shining a light on something that impacts the entire state of Indiana.
Is a new program that allows police access to your home security cameras, helping to solve crimes. What we're finding out about the effectiveness of this new link to the community.
And new information into the newsroom this afternoon about a deadly East Side fire, what we know about the costs.
This is RTV6 News at 5, working for you.
And good evening. Now at 5, keeping a close eye on the radar as rain returns to central Indiana.
But once the colder air arrives, we could see some snow. Storm Team 6 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory is tracking the timing and what's ahead tonight. Kevin.
And we've got a lot to talk about here. No big rains or snow to talk about. We'll have some accumulation, it looks like Saturday, but it should be light. Wind out of the southeast. 43 degrees. That helps. The warmer airs come in just ahead of the rain. Here's your rain probability, and you can see we're up there right on through the morning hours tomorrow. Temperatures will change slowly this evening and then stay well above freezing overnight tonight. As you look at the radar, some light showers, Greensburg and Seymour. Western Indiana, we'll zoom in a little bit and put this in motion. You can see a little more substantial showers, but not covering a lot of real estate right around Rockville, just west of Crawfordsville, the Greencastle line. That'll slide up toward Lafayette. As it continues through the evening hours, I think we'll see an expansion of the very light rain. Temperatures, by the time we get to 10 o'clock, will dip down into the 30s, about 37. They won't change much overnight. As I take you through the timeline, 7 to 9. See everything lifting from south to north. That keeps our temperatures above the freezing mark, and by 11 we still have some fairly widespread rain. We'll talk about temperature trend for tomorrow and zero in on our Saturday snow potential coming up.
A sobering warning tonight about a problem cities are facing around the world, and it's closer here than you might think.
Officials here in Indiana say human trafficking is happening in every county across the state. January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month.
RTV6's Kelsey Anderson sat down with a survivor who says she was trafficked at 11 years old by her own mom.
Genevieve Meyer tells me she's speaking out now so other survivors can see that there's hope on the other side of trauma and to show the world something like this can happen to anyone. Her story starts in Southern California.
The first time I was trafficked was 11. I was trafficked by family members. I had a 37-year-old boyfriend.
Genevieve Meyer says although she was just 11 years old, she believes she was the one putting a roof over her family's head.
I suspect that maybe I might have paid the rent because the boyfriend that I had was the person who owned the house that we lived in.
She says eventually someone outside her family called police.
Investigation was done and he was tried and convicted. He got a whole 4 months in jail.
When Genevieve tried to get away from her environment, she was labeled as a runaway and as a bad kid, and a case manager was assigned to check in on her.
That didn't happen. And what happened instead is a 42-year-old man in the neighborhood found me attractive and began preying on me.
And instead of helping her, her mom signed a so-called permission slip that made it legal for the adult man to marry a 15-year-old.
So she signed over some kind of guardianship to this man and gave him me and this guardianship paperwork, and he took me from Southern California in a recreational vehicle, so like an RV, all the way to Mississippi. So it was just the two of us. I was alone with him. He had complete access to do whatever he liked.
Genevieve was able to get away from her husband and fled to the other side of the country. She says she became pregnant and endured an uphill battle to protect her child and get a divorce. She says she tells her story now to show how it can happen to anyone, and it could be in plain sight.
And I mean, I definitely could have just left it in my past, you know, and moved forward and never spoke out about it. But yeah, to bring that awareness of it could happen to anybody, no matter, you know, what your paycheck is or what your education level is or what zip code you live in, it can absolutely happen to anybody.
She's working with lawmakers to get bills passed to make it harder for predators to prey on children. One of her bills will be discussed on Monday during the legislative session.
Thank you, Kelsey. And Genevieve is now married and has her master's degree. Human trafficking can happen to anyone. Coming up at 7, you will hear from a man who tells his story of being trafficked and how you can look out for it in your community.
New information tonight about a deadly house fire we told you about on Indy's east side that killed a woman. 65-year-old Gloria Lawson died after an accidental fire that started in the kitchen. Fire investigators believe the cause was unattended grease on the stove. This happened on Kildare Avenue shortly after 6 yesterday morning. 911 callers told dispatchers they heard a loud boom before the fire broke out. Oxygen tanks impacted by the fire were the source. Tonight, police in Hendricks County are looking for the driver in a hit and run that killed a pedestrian this morning near Avon. This happened on County Road 100 between County Road 625 East and Avon Avenue around 6:30. It's believed 20-year-old Emmanuel Walker of Plainfield was standing at the edge of the road when he was hit. Investigators are looking for a silver Saturn with front and passenger side damage. It may also be missing a passenger side mirror. If you have any information, call the Hendricks County Sheriff's Department.
Columbus police are trying to find the driver who caused this damage to one of their patrol cars. It happened this morning around 6:45. Luckily, no one was inside the car when it was hit. Police say a man stopped to talk with officers, and then his passenger jumped behind the wheel and took off in the silver Volkswagen Jetta, crashing into the police car. Officers later saw the driver traveling at a high rate of speed without headlights, but due to traffic, officers ended the pursuit. If you have any idea who that driver is, contact Columbus Police. And work on Pennsylvania Street downtown is going to take a bit longer than Citizens Energy expected. They closed 3 lanes on Tuesday between New York and Washington streets for planned work to install a sewer pipe lining. All lanes were supposed to reopen by this evening. Now Citizens says just 1 lane is expected to reopen today. All lanes are expected to reopen Tuesday evening.
RTV6 is working to find out if a new police program that puts more eyes on the streets is helping solve crimes. B-Link was announced late last year, and IMPD says it is already assisting detectives. It's a way for the police department to partner with community members and businesses who own security cameras. RTV6's Megan Sanctorum is working for you, finding out how the program is being used.
This Church's Chicken at Washington and Post was recently the scene of a robbery. According to a police report, someone walked in with a gun and took off with cash. The whole time, cameras at a nearby business were rolling.
They captured the suspect's vehicle and the suspect entering and exiting the business.
Turns out those cameras were at Big Red Liquors, a business that partners with IMPD through the B-Link program. The program allows companies to sign up and allow additional equipment to be installed on their surveillance systems, giving officers at the Incident Analysis Center direct and instant access to footage.
But in this particular case, our detectives were able to get it the next day. We actually saw it the day of and were able to email our detectives the actual video footage the next day.
And it's footage detectives are now using to solve this crime. Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, RTV6.
Well, tonight at 6 o'clock, police address privacy concerns some have about this program, and we'll tell you how you can sign up to participate.
Tonight, another newborn is safe after being surrendered in a safe haven baby box in Indiana. The healthy baby was surrendered early today at a fire station in Seymour in Jackson County. The fire department was notified by the alarm as soon as the baby's mother opened the outside door to place the baby inside. The baby was retrieved within 60 seconds. This is the 5th baby surrendered in a baby box in the past 2 years in Indiana.
Now to the Senate impeachment trial of President Trump. Today, Democratic House managers are focusing on a constitutional argument to remove the president from office. ABC's Rachel Scott is on Capitol Hill now with the latest.
The Democratic House impeachment managers moving into day 2 of opening statements focused on threading together the evidence to argue President Trump violated the Constitution.
This conduct is not America first. It is Donald Trump first.
Democrats taking a swipe at the president's key allies, playing their own words to push back against a core part of the president's defense.
Doesn't even have to be a crime.
As the trial unfolded for 8 hours yesterday, so did growing complaints from Republicans who said Democrats were repeating the same points.
Frankly, I thought they did a good job of taking bits and pieces of the evidence and creating a quilt out of it. Will it stand up?
House Intel Chair Adam Schiff opening today's proceedings by acknowledging the criticism from across the aisle.
Of necessity, there will be some repetition of information from yesterday's chronology, and I want to explain the reason for it. We will now show you these facts and many others and how they are interwoven.
Senator Chuck Schumer also firing back, pointing out Republicans rejected all Democratic attempts to subpoena witnesses and documents before the opening statement started.
The same Republicans saying they heard nothing new just voted 9 times on Tuesday to hear nothing new. If they want new stuff, there's plenty of it.
Some Republicans say subpoenaing witnesses will hijack the Senate, keeping them from getting things done in Washington, and are standing by the president.
So when you got the facts on your side, you're pretty darn confident.
And several GOP sources tell ABC News lawmakers are actively considering a shorter session on Saturday. The president's legal defense concerned about their opening arguments being buried on a weekend. Rachel Scott, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
Still ahead at 5:30 on RTV6. Are you a bargain shopper? Many people are. So why do we overpay for some things? We have the dollars and cents so you don't waste your money.
But first, giving the gift of reading. It can open up a child's whole world and future. The kids going home today with 2 free books.
They were excited, and maybe we'll be excited to see a little snow over the weekend. We'll talk about our Saturday snow potential. Looks like it'll be light. We'll have more on that coming up.
Beginning. We are Ascension.
Well, disappointing news for workers in one northern Indiana community. Domedic Corporation notified the state that it will be closing its plant in LaGrange. That means 197 people will lose jobs. The plant produces RV awnings. The plant is expected to close on March 31st.
Now to Democracy 2020, 2 school districts will be turning to voters in May for their support. This morning, the Marion County Election Board reviewed several referenda proposals. Washington Township and Beech Grove will both have an operating referendum and construction referendum on the ballot this year. Both districts say they plan to use the money for things like investing in facilities and increasing teacher pay. The superintendent of Beech Grove Public Schools says he's hoping for voter support.
I think every teacher in the state of Indiana should start at $50,000. If we're going to keep in the profession, we have to do more about that. It has to be a joint effort, both locally and at the state level.
The Marion County Election Board meets again next month.
Today, members of the community rolled up their sleeves and donated blood in honor of police officers who were killed in the line of duty. Today was the 10th annual Officer David Moore Blood Drive, sponsored by the Marion County Prosecutor's Office. It was started in 2011 after IMPD Officer Moore was shot, but now also honors memories of fallen IMPD officers Rod Bradway, Perry Wren, and Southport Police Lieutenant Aaron Allen. Prosecutor Ryan Mears says the event gets bigger every year.
Really, this is just our opportunity to honor the sacrifice that many of our police officers have made in the line of duty. And it's also a chance for the community to come out and support law enforcement, but also help out those in need, because we're constantly dealing with the issue of, do we have enough blood?
The Red Cross once again has put out the call for donations of type O blood. O positive is the most transfused blood type. O negative blood can be given to patients of any blood type.
It was the perfect day to grab a book, thumb through the pages, and discover a new world, especially for the kids at the Urban Act Academy on Indianapolis's Near East Side. Today, RTV6 sponsored a free book fair for the students on what is National Reading Day. RTV6 employees spent time with the children, picking out books and reading. Each student could take home 2 free books. It's all part of the If You Give a Child a Book campaign, a literacy project spearheaded by RTV6's parent company, Scripps Media. And reading is opening pathways for kids who can already see their future.
The reason why I like to read is because, like, when I want to grow up, I want to be a really good scientist.
If you could all turn around for me so you can see where you're going to go shopping. Please reveal the books.
Our RTV6 employees make donations to the If You Give a Child a Book campaign, and our parent company matches the donations in order to make the book giveaway program possible. This is the 3rd year RTV6 has coordinated the book giveaway at Urban Act Academy. Look at all the excitement there.
Love hearing those screams when they reveal the books. That is great to see.
Excited.
And you see the kids, they look at the cover, right? I mean, that's the first thing that'll attract them, because they have their sections for age-appropriate reading, and they're attracted to that, and then they look in to see if that's what they really want.
And hopefully they're reading tonight.
There were a few weather books in there. I found those, a couple on rainbows and the Arctic North. No Arctic temperatures in our forecast. We do have, at times, temperatures that go below freezing, but really this 7-day forecast is pretty benign for January. 43 in Indy, 38 in Crawfordsville. Remember, we have the light rain starting to settle in. If you're headed for a walk, and Molly wants to go, she's given me the eyes, an Australian Shepherd. David Price sent in the picture. Thanks for doing that, David. You at home can send your pet's picture to me at kevin.gregory@WRTV.com. I'll be happy to take your dog for a walk as well. A few showers, temperatures fairly steady here over the next few hours. Not a solid area of rain, certainly not heavy rainfall, but you will get wet at times this evening. Let's run the computer model out that will take us to 7 a.m. Saturday, generally quarter to half-inch rainfall amounts. And then at that point on Saturday morning, I think we begin to mix with or change to some light snow as we go through the first half of the weekend. I'm going to put this in motion. I've broadened the view so you can see the whole storm system, the cold side over here in portions of western Illinois. This is at 9 o'clock tonight, the rain over Indiana. Watch this kind of spiral and swirl the rain through the state tomorrow. As we get to the morning hours on Saturday, that's where we're on the cold side of the weather system, and we begin to see some light snow. As far as any accumulations, I showed you going to the commercial break. Looks like an inch or less in most locations. Temperatures at ground level at or above the freezing mark, so a lot of that melting. Temperatures tomorrow, low 40s at best. Periods of rain, and the wind will be a bit on the gusty side. We'll have some gusts to 20 miles per hour, but temperatures for this time of the year above average, but still, if you're getting wet, that's pretty cool. Friday morning, 7 a.m., there's your ongoing showers. Those continue into the afternoon and evening. Notice there's a break in here. Then as we go overnight, the cooler air will start to filter in, and we'll wake up in the morning hours Saturday with some light snow in the western portion of the state. The potential for that snow, central Indiana as well. But temperatures at 35, we'll have that melting on contact with roadways the way we see it now. 37 on Sunday as we dry out. Pick up the timeline, 7 a.m. Saturday. There's your blue of light snow through central Indiana, even the southern portion of the viewing area as well. And that continues into the afternoon hours. And it's not pouring in Arctic air after this. Temperatures that are at or above freezing Saturday are still above freezing Sunday. And then we spend some time in the lower 40s early next week with a chance of a rain-snow mix. But temperatures warming into the low 40s Tuesday through Thursday of next week.
Sounds good. Thank you, Kevin, for that.
Well, finally, after a couple of delays due to weather, the Circle of Lights will be coming down on Saturday on Monument Circle. About 75 union electricians and apprentices will start taking down all 4,784 lights at 8 a.m. This includes more than 6 miles of electrical wire and more than 2 miles of garland. So if you have not seen them yet, you still have 2 nights left to enjoy them. After that, you just have to wait about 10 more months until they return.
Well, it gets thrown, kicked, fallen on, and carried. Still ahead, how one of the unsung stars of the Super Bowl gets its start.
Days from 4:30 to 7.
Hello to you. I'm Julie Grant with Court TV, and we're in day number 2 of Harvey Weinstein's rape trial in New York City. And witness number 2 is a big one, actress Annabella Sciorra. The allegations are horrific. They are that Weinstein showed up uninvited to her Manhattan apartment back in the winter of 1993-1994 and forced his way into her apartment, shoving her onto her bed. And she says that she was punching and kicking him at the time, trying to get away, but says that he simply overpowered her and says that he violently raped her. Sciorra's story is just one of the alleged crimes being brought against the 67-year-old former Hollywood movie producer. Weinstein is accused of 5 different crimes. Sciorra is a supporting witness included in the state's indictment. And in the opening statements on Wednesday, Weinstein's attorney told the jury that the accusations are simply untrue. And during the cross-examinations, the jury would realize that Weinstein is innocent. The defense plans to use dozens of what they call loving emails to show the sexual contact was consensual. If convicted, Weinstein could face life in prison. And as always, you can count on Court TV for gavel-to-gavel coverage of America's most compelling criminal trials. I'm Julie Grant. Now back to you in the studio.
And you can learn more about the other cases around the nation right now at courttv.com.
When the Super Bowl is played in just a little over a week in Miami, sure, the players on the field will be the most talked about and the stars of the game.
But when you think about it, there's a very unsung star that if you didn't have, there would be no game at all, and that is the actual football. Workers at the Wilson plant in Ada, Ohio, take great pride in making the balls for the big game. The Wilson football has been the official game ball since 1941.
It's a pride thing to do a good job and get the ball out there for them.
The journey starts here, where Midwestern cowhide is carefully cut into panels. They say the backbone is the best part to get. Once selected, the panels head to stamping, where they get the Roman numerals for 54. After the panels are stitched, the ball gets turned inside out.
It's a violent job to pull all that leather through itself. Now he's smoothing the seams off.
Well, the ball gets laced up, molded, and then they're packed up and shipped out. Each team gets 108 balls, 54 for practice, 54 for game time. The NFL demands they are made the same way every year. And the Wilson employees say it's just fun to watch the game and know that they had a hand in it.
It's very mesmerizing watching the process. Very cool.
From start to finish there.
All new at 6 p.m., a father says road crews removed his daughter's memorial along the interstate. She was killed in a crash last year. Working for you, we look into why this happened and what you need to know about memorials next to Interstates.
But first on the Now, Indy sharing the magic of Disney on Ice with kids. How what they can feel and hear brings it all to life. You're watching RTV6.